It should say that this hangout on there is live, and this is live. And let me continue building the app that I've been working on, which is essentially a delivery app. Someone orders food and they are on the beach laying around, hence beach delivery app. And they decide that they want to order something. Like, I don't know, some orange juice, maybe some oranges, you know. Um, you could do whatever you want in regards to quantity. You could examine that shopping cart and say, I don't need 7 oranges. In fact, I don't want any oranges at all. You know? So yeah. Now, what I'm trying to accomplish is I've been working on the I've been working on the restaurants part, but so far, like the beverages and the snacks, that's been pretty much implemented. And so the filters I have working for the most part. So for the beverages, I have water, juice, soda, that's beverages. And maybe I need to put some type of highlight on here so that it shows which item is selected, maybe not. For snacks, same thing. I can filter on fruits, chips, cookies. Okay. And let's say I want some Chips Ahoy, and let's say that I want some plums. I could do something like that. And click on the cart and change my mind. You know. And so recently, I've been working on the restaurants domain of this application. So, I could click on more food and I could see a listing of the different restaurants that I can order from. And of course, within the app, this would be based on the GPS location of the customer laying on the beach. And so I've been working on the Denny's menu right here. And so I click on Denny's, and this is what I have right here. Unfortunately, I haven't implemented the filters yet, right? So this stuff needs to be wired up. And I'm thinking that I may add another menu, or I think I may add another filter called Other, so that I can throw in any type of meals that I think would be popular but don't necessarily fit in here, like chicken wings. Uh, so that's what I'm considering. Now, if I do that, then that would essentially look like, well, let me demo the rest of the app. So let's say that I order a Supreme skillet, okay? And when I'm at Denny's, I almost always order whatever meal that I want, but then I'll also order a Oreo shake. So that's what I may have here. I could remove any of these items if I wanted to, but this is what I want. And I say checkout. Okay. And so when I do checkout, this is where it'll find your location, which I haven't wired up yet. This is using Google Maps. But when I wire this up, it'll identify your location, know you're not in Rome in this case. Starting off, maybe you'll be in South Beach, or some beach in Fort Lauderdale. You could choose your payment method. All right, this deals with someone having registered credit or debit cards, and they say they want to pay with Visa. And this is essentially when they pick their payment method, they're confirming that they want to go through with the order. So then they can request a delivery. and it'll say like finding a deliverer, and you have the opportunity to cancel. And then it says found John Roach or whatever. He arrives in 3 minutes. Call or message. Um, and there's some bugs I need to resolve because then somehow those call and message buttons disappear. Your order is on its way, and then delivery completed. Charged. Uh, if I say charged, do I really need to say debited? Probably not. In fact, uh, let me see. In fact, let me go in here and get rid of that. Yeah, so I could get rid of this right here. But essentially, that's what the app is. Um, and so, what I would like to do is maybe something like that. What I would like to do is I want to I want to add filters for this Denny's menu. There's a couple things, right? So here's this menu.xaml file right here. And what I would like to do is these are the filter labels, right? Binding filters. The name is label 0, label 1, label 2, whatever. They're all binding to filters on my view model, which my view model is this menu view model right here. Okay. And so this is what I need to update. And if I did add an additional filter in here, it would be kind of like this right here. Control C, let me navigate to our Denny's menu. Okay. And theoretically, I should be able to do something like this. And I would name this, actually, this is going to be more work than I thought. The text over here would be something like other for right now. Okay. Go back over here. It says that there's an issue with my XAML, and I'm not sure what that issue is. Text equals other. It says, oh, label 2 already exists. Okay, that's good information. I'll call this label X. Okay. And yeah, so that's not going to fit in here. So I could scrap that idea. Okay. But I still need to wire this up. So sluggers should filter to sluggers, skillets should filter to skillets, shakes should filter to shakes. And so to accomplish that, all this is pretty abstract. Um, so to accomplish that, my converter parameter is passing in an index, right? All this is pretty arbitrary. So if I wanted to wire that up, my thought process would be to maybe go to my menu item type, and this menu item type, I would say maybe needs to have a a category index, okay, or a category ID. I would say category index. So we have restaurant ID, and then I could add in here category. Oh, come here. Category index. Okay, and then that would be right now I'm saying an integer, but ideally I would say category index would be a type. Okay, and that would I could probably define that maybe right here. Say type category index equals category index of int. And maybe one day I will have a smart constructor that enforces that it cannot be less than 0. Okay. So there's a category index in here, which should now break my build and identify the areas that are affected so that I can fill in those gaps. Uh, I've had this new machine for 2 weeks, and I love it for the most part, except for the keyboard. It's still taking me a while to get used to, but this is a 64 gig of RAM laptop, and it's just a lot faster, a lot more performant than my 16 gig laptop that I had, especially when doing like Xamarin development. Like everything just, especially like uh, running the emulators, things were just dog slow. Okay. All right. So here's my test API, and they have a whole bunch of items that are affected. And so we have a fit fair. I think fit fair is I thought a fit fair was a slugger, or maybe it's a skillet. No, fit fair is a skillet because I have them grouped together. So how would I want to arrange this? Category index equals, and here I could probably just say category index. I think my skillets are, I think the first filter is all, so that will always be index 0. And then the next one was sluggers, which would be an index of 1. And then skillets would be an index of 2. Okay. So I think it's something like this. And my OCD is taking over. Okay. And so Supreme Skillet, also a skillet, right? So we give that a index of 2. Now, what I could do is I could be more informative and say let uh, I could say something like, how does this work? Literal, and then say skillet index equals 2, something like that. Now, what is this going to complain about? I think I have to say let in here. All right. Okay. And well, I think literal is only for like primitive data types, but I don't think I could do this, for example. No, I can't. So, uh-oh, what just happened? So this would be more, I would guess, more maintainable, perhaps. Why is my why is my cursor? Okay. So, and then I could just use the same thing for to be all index would be 0. Okay. And will all become in my XAML, all comes first as the first filter item that gets rendered. And for the Denny's menu, it would be slugger, skillet, and then shakes. So I have something like this. Okay. So then this would be a slugger index, which would be at 1. Okay. And shakes would be my last one. All right. And so then we call this shakes index. Okay. And that would be 3. So we have something like that. So now we can have a for the Denny Supreme Skillet menu item. Have that. Okay. And then we keep going down. And so then for the All American Slam, well, that's a slugger, right? So now we could just take this and do copy paste inheritance. Okay. And then we say slugger index. All right. And we can do that down there. And we do that down here. And then that here. And OCD is taking over. So it says that things must have order. You must have order. You must have order. Okay. And over here, we continue this campaign, but we stop down here because these are shakes. All right. So Denny's Grand Slam Slugger has a slugger index. And for shakes, we have our shakes. Excuse me. We have our shakes index. All right. And so we add that. And we add that. And we have that. Okay. In the intent of doing all this, providing an index property for our menu item type is to dynamically construct filters with emphasis on dynamically, because eventually this isn't going to come from a test API. This is going to come from a data feed via a web service. It's going to be feeding in this JSON more than likely, and this is going to just dynamically just construct these filters that are bound to these menu items. And when you select a filter, the menu item selection will update per that request, that filter request. All right, so that's the intent. Okay. All right. So now what, Willis? Does all this build yet? Oh, it probably won't. So attempt to build this. And the next step, I believe, is to maybe write a test. The test is going to fail, and then make that test pass by going into the load operation of our menu view model. And this load operation needs to load, it needs to basically map the category indexes to the filters and then wire that stuff up when the filter command is invoked, okay, via handle filter handler, which is blank right now, okay? All right, so what does that mean? All right, well, we're at the shopping cart test API. Well, we don't care about that. We want to zoom in on the shopping cart domain right here. And there is a menu. No, that's not what I want. Let's go into specification. And there is a, what am I looking for? Specification I don't need right now. We'll go to, I'm looking for tests. Do I not have tests in here? I don't have tests in here. Something's missing. All right. Hmm. Let me see something real fast. There's a load menu. Let me go back to home, and if I click home, then it's going to show everything in here. This is the menu file tab. What's wrong is I don't see my test. Oh shoot, no, I don't see my test being shown in here. Like the specification usually has a domain specification and a domain test. And even though the test is clearly here, it's not showing up in the folder that I had originally designated. And so if I open this, this is in shopping cart.test, okay, which is under, all right, so, that says it's under beach delivery. All right, so how should I handle this? I'll re-add this and beach customer, I'll type in shopping, and it says that the project shopping cart cannot be added to the solution because it's already a member of the solution. All right, so the shopping cart.test is already in here somewhere. I just don't know where. There's an order request.test. I don't see shopping cart.test. All right, so that is throwing a monkey wrench into what I want to do. And maybe that's not important right now, but I need to find it eventually. But I still have access to the file, so it's just weird. Anyways, we still have our file, even though we can't locate the project within the solution. So now we have a load filters, okay? And this load filters, what we want to verify, our setup is we have our test API, our Denny's menu, and maybe I want to be explicit and say Denny's menu. Or I don't even know if it's called menu, it's just called restaurant. Okay. I'll leave it like that. And so we have our setup where we have our restaurant, we inject our restaurant into our menu view model, and then we invoke the load operation on our view model. Now for the verify part, we want to say view model dot filters. Maybe the first thing we want to do is verify that we have filters loaded. All right. And that'll just be this test. And then once we get that to pass, then we can add another test that is more specific to what filters are loaded, right? We want to assert that the all filters loaded, the Sluggers filter is loaded, the Skillets filter is loaded, and the Shakes filter is loaded. But that would be another test. And so Control Shift B to build the solution, and everything builds. Now we now have 60 tests, and that passes. Okay. And just to prove that that test was actually ran, I have load filters right here. If I double click that, it takes me right here. Okay. So that test passes. All right. So now I want to add a test saying that uh, in this case, I want to say, and this might be redundant, that load designated filters, right? In this case, load all have special characters in here? What's the issue right here? Does this need to be in it back? Yeah. Load all sluggers, skillets, shakes, filters. Something like that. Okay. I love how I could do this in F sharp syntactically. So now what? Well, this is where I would probably try to pull something off like this, where I would say viewModel.filters, and then I would say, um, hmm, list. Come here. Something like pipe viewModel.filters, which is sequence, and then I will pipe that into a function called list dot of sequence, and then from there I would say that I would probably want a pattern match and say function, okay, and then from there I would say A, B, C, and then what I usually put for its head and tail, right? Tail. Okay. And what I want to do is I want to say that this A is going to be all. This B is going to be sluggers. This C is going to be skillets. And then this tail is going to be empty. All right. That looks pretty smart. Okay. So now what? Well, if this still compiles, then remember, an automated test fails when an exception is thrown. If no exception is thrown, it passes. So this assert.fail here literally throws an exception, but we'll pass this test if the the structure of our filters matches this structure right here. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something. All sluggers. Oh yeah, I'm missing shakes. Okay. Something like that. So this is going to fail. Okay. Well, we go ahead and run this, and I'm looking at my test over here, and that doesn't. Something's not right. That isn't right. It should fail. Um, or maybe it is right. I don't think it's. Well, maybe it is right. Hold on, let me see. All right, apparently it is right. Just to do a sanity check, I'll throw a breakpoint in here, debug this, and then hover my cursor to get a data tip to look at the filters. And it says for all slugger skillet shakes. All right, so it passes. Now what? So the filters fit the structure. I would argue that we no longer need this test over here, load filters, because that's pretty redundant after we have this test over here. And so now I want to have a test where I want to do a filter, right? And so, or I want to perform a filter. So I have filter Denny's, filter Denny's menu on sluggers, or on, would it be easier? Yeah, we could say sluggers, okay? Now what? Our test is load, but now that is part of our setup because we're testing when we invoke the filter. So then we could say view model dot um, filter dot execute. Okay, and that will probably pass in a an index in the form of a string. No, it's passing in the index in based on the category index that we've added to our menu item, which we need to do, and we need to actually do that in XAML. And so that will be a category index, and it should be the first one, not zero index, but one index. Okay. And so then we should observe that our view model dot, um, what do we call it? Do we call it mills? Um, we should verify that our view model dot mills, when we take that sequence and we want to filter it down, it should be like, hold up, give me a second. It should be like in these. There's a lot of sluggers in here, man. I don't want to do that. I want to do skillets. In fact, I should be able to say should be like a skillet index, something like that. Okay. And with a skillet index, I should be able to say Denny's, or say skillet and it'll be a Denny's Supreme Skillet, and there should be another skillet in here. I don't know if it's called. Let me see. What's this? Fit Fair. I don't know if that's a skillet or a slugger. I guess I could find out. There's a Fit Fair PNG, and that is a skillet. Okay, smart. Okay, so then I could do something like this. And if I review this, filter Denny's menu on skillets, then call load operation, call filter, category indexes, the skillet index. Okay. I feel like this can be reworked. So I could say like skillet category. And that sounds a lot better. Let skillet, or we could say let category skillet equal, and then you can say category index, and then skillet index, this right here. Okay. And then we just do copy paste inheritance. So it could be sluggers, and then this would be a slugger index, and then this is shakes, right? Shakes, and so then we have our shakes index. Okay, and maybe if we have shakes index, skillet index, slugger index, and we have that convention, then maybe it's okay to have a slugger category, skillet category, and a shakes category. Oh shoot. And shakes category, something like that. Maybe that's okay. Okay, so then we can go in here and we can change that to skillet category, okay. And then everything else is slugger category, change, and then shakes category is going to be further down. If I even have that in here, which I do, right? So then over here we have something like that, and then you do that, and then you say shake, 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 shake. Okay. So, come here. Now what? Well, if I go back, Control Shift B. If I go back to my test that I'm writing, filter Denny's menu on skillets, then now I could just have a skillet category, okay? And our view model.mills sequence, this right here, how do I want to do this? Mm, Surely we should have a failed test now. We have to have a failed test. This should go red. All right, so finally we have a failed test. And so now what we want to do is if we were to control RT, which should run this in debug mode, it should say, no, our mills is still 11. It's not 2, as in 2 skillets that are registered. And so that's what we want so far, because it should fail. So now, in order to make this happen, then I'm thinking that we go to our filter over here and handle filter index over here. And so this can probably be like, how do you want to do this? We want to extract a category from here. So we say let category, how do you want to do this? Let category index equals, and then you can say arg pattern match via function. And let me see, do something like this, and then I could probably do something like um, uh, pattern match on typing a category index. Okay, and I think I'd say as category index, and if it matches that, then it'd be continued. Okay. Else, then we'll just, for right now, just don't do anything. Just ignore it. Okay. Now what? Well, so, well, maybe I need that over here for right now. All right. So let's imagine that we have our handle filter. It receives a category index. Okay. What do we want to do? Well, what we would like to do is we want to filter the mills. So in order to filter the mills, we need to see what this category index is. Okay. And so remember, our menu items have a category index. So we could potentially say that our how do you want to do this? X dot mills. I kind of want to call this menu items, but whatever. I'll call that later. X dot mills is going to be mutated to our items cache. Okay. Where we'll do a item cache is a sequence, right? Yeah. Where we'll there's a couple ways we could do this. Do I want to use link or do I want to use f-sharp.core? I could say that item cache, say sequence.filter, okay? And then I could say, it's going to take a lambda where we take this mil and the mil dot category index equals our category index. Oh, Sky, you're so smart. Okay. And that, I think that's okay. Do I need to? I think that's fine. Okay. So that might be okay. And so then we say that we don't need this over here and say that we don't need this over here. And then let's just say that we just want to use this over here. Okay. Then something's not right because now we confuse this over here. So do I need to say observable collection and this constructor is that? Maybe I'll wrap this in parentheses or yeah, and that works out. Okay. So what happens if I do that? Control Shift B. I would expect to have my mills updated to 2 because I know that for a fact I have 2. I forget what I'm even testing. Am I testing the skillets? Yeah. Okay. And everything passes. All right. So, and just to validate that, I put a breakpoint right here. Control RT. I'm so smart. Um, and we'll see that our mills is now 2, and we see that we have our pattern match of this being a Denny's Supreme Skillet and then a Denny's Fit Fair. That matches too. Okay. Okay. All right. So now we can see. Well, now we have to wire that up because the XAML file is hard coded to just pass in indexes. So get rid of that. What does that mean? If we go to our menu.xaml, then we need to bind our text is still fine, but we need to our command parameter needs to be mapped to how's this going to work? Our filters is somewhat decoupled from our menu items. Like, I mean, they get mapped together. So the current issue that I'm looking at is we're passing in these hard-coded strings that can be parsed to integers. Okay. So if that is the case, and we know that this is a hard-coded string that's coming from the client, because I don't think a command parameter can have a value converter. there's a name behind this. I don't think a command parameter is a property. Uh, but just to make sure, if it is a property, then we could solve that easily. So, like say, command parameter. Uh, what I want to do is value converter. How to convert a command parameter just before command is executed. And like, I don't think a command parameter is a, looking at here, it looks like it is a property, a binding property. So if that's the case, then we could do something like this. We could say command parameter. It's funny because when I put in the markup extension, it didn't do anything. I wonder if it'll do anything here. Let's assume that. Okay, so that might be normal. Command parameter, and then we'll just have our. I don't like that. Hold up. Let's close this and reopen it. Boom. Command parameter. I'm looking for the IntelliSense. IntelliSense isn't doing anything. Um, equals what? We're not really binding to anything. We just want to convert it. And I don't think you could use a value converter for a static resource. And so let me see something. Convert static resource. Value converter. Yeah, I don't think you could do that. And all right, so I'm going to give up on this and keep it simple. So what's keeping it simple is have that right there. And within my menu view model, we can handle it a number of ways. We could say that if if this argument is a string, then we can parse it, right? And when we parse it, we can say that first let uh, I don't know, index, let, in this case, category index, or we could say let index equal, and then you could say it's int32 dot par, shoot, int32, how do you do this? Int, what is int32 dot parse, but that's not working out. Int dot, nope. I thought it was Do I use system? System dot int 32 dot parse, and we're parsing what? We're parsing this text. Okay. So that should give us an integer. And then I know I could do try parse, but I know where it's coming from. This isn't user input. This is coming from a file that I defined. So then from there, I could say that I have a category index is that, and then let category index, something like that. I think I have to wrap this in parentheses. Okay. And then I could say over here, let update equal, and then, well, let update, and then I have this category index up here, and I basically take what I had down here, throw it in here, okay? And so I then say update, uh, update category index, like that. And then over here, I could say same thing, update category index like that. Or I could just say, take this right here, say update, and that can, uh-oh, what just happened? That can look like this. I could get rid of view parse over here. Oh, I'm so smart. And well, this, then we could just do something like that, you know, here, like that, you know, and do that over there, okay, that like that, yeah, match that up, yeah, okay. Now what? I think that should work. Okay. So Control Shift B. Now we may want to update our test where we're going to pass in. We're going to pass in a. Our skillet category was at index 2. So we can do something like this. Um, skillet index. That's an integer, right? And then we just throw that into a string, something like that. Control Shift B. And that's how it's going to be coming in from our XAML file. It's going to be coming in as a string, and that still passes. Okay. Now let's see if this actually works. In theory, it should work. Revisit my menu, filter. Okay. I mean, the stuff is bound to a filter. And, uh-oh, my filter is right here, handle filter. Probably should call that arg. Okay. think this should work. Um, this is my OCD. All right, so that should work. If I run this, it's me stretching. If I run this, then we'll see. And then if this does work, then I'll be rendered as the smartest developer in the state of Florida. Because I didn't really have to do much work, right? If that does work. If it doesn't work, then I'll probably spend 5 minutes trying to diagnose it. And if I can't do it in 5 minutes, I'm just going to end the video because then like my points start going down where like people don't think I'm smart anymore. And like I'm insecure, so I don't want people to think that I'm not smart, right? Because I have a lot of people tell me that I am smart, and I want to live up to that. So here's our menu stuff, right? And so let's just put a breakpoint on our filter over here, okay? And if we hit sluggers, then our filter gets invoked, and I think that works. Oh, shucks. So that works. These are our sluggers. Now skillets. Let me see. These are our skillets. Yeah. All right. And shakes. These are our shakes, pendejo. All right. So this stuff, oh, shoot. All does everything. Nope. All is broke. But everything else looks good. So why is all broke? If we go to our menu over here, all is supposed to be parameter 0. Okay. So, well, if I go over here, we don't have in our menu items anything that's mapped to parameter 0. And so we want to basically say right up here, oh, I'm so smart. We can say, well, there's a couple ways we could do this. Um, it'll just be an unspoken rule right now that if the category index, if that, how do I want to do this? Do I want to, if the value from category index uh, equals 0, then we just want to return we want to return everything, okay? Like we don't filter out anything. We just return our cache. All right. And I guess I could delete you. Okay. Else, then we can form our filter. All right. Okay. This value from category index, we need to define in our domain. So there's like a shopping cart domain. Uh, And we actually want to go into our common and add this let value from category index v, and we want to come here, v, and we just want to return a v like that. Okay. Now what, Willis? Come here. All right. Go back down here. Come here. All right. Go up here. OCD must be satisfied. Yeah. Okay. And so we have something like this. Okay. And we can close you. And you should build, my friend. All right. And maybe we do want to have you. We like having things lined up. You look better. All right. So now, if I run this app, if I run this app, then my all filter should work, because the reason why it should work is because I say value from category index equals 0. If it is equal to 0, I don't like that. I should say let, hold up. I already have this. Hold up. Isn't there like a, I don't like that. Hold up. There's a better way of doing this. There's a, should be an all index. Yeah. It's this right here. So I'm smart. So you have a all category, and that is going to be your category index of all index. Okay. So you take that and you can say that if the category index equals all index, uh, equals to all category, then turn your cache, else filter your cache. Control Shift B to compile all that. And I'll write some solid code. So now it says, I don't know what all category is. Why don't you know what all category is? Why don't you know what all category is? Because this is in my test API. Okay. So we need to put this in our, where do you want to put this? We want to put this in our language. Throw this somewhere in our language. Maybe down here. Okay. And it's saying that oh, shoot, I'm getting in trouble. Hold up. Language over here. All right. Control Shift B. Go back to my menu view model. And is that going to build? And, if I want to be diligent, then because I found an issue, something tells me that maybe I should add a test in here, right? So maybe I should say that maybe I should say something like all filter uh, on Denny's menu returns 10 plus items. Okay. And I mean, I could be exact, but or no, I don't have to say that. I could say all filter on Denny's menu returns cash. Okay. And so now we have this all index. Now we have this all. Why doesn't this work? Why don't you work? You know what? It doesn't matter. I can just put in this. Okay. And so we can verify that the viewModel.mills, this is observable collection. We we could verify that that should equal what? I don't think I could get to cache from cache is an internal value or is stored internally within the view model. Right. So if I go over here, like I don't expose that stuff. Um, but I guess what I could do is you load and then you could say that your let cache equal, or you could say, yeah, you could say let initial values maybe initial values equal your view model dot mills, okay, and then you do your filter, and then you can say your view model dot mills equals your initial values. I like that. Okay, Control Shift B, and maybe all filter on this menu returns initial values. Initial values, something like that. Okay, and just to make sure that we're actually executing this test, um, well, we could just, instead of setting a breakpoint, we could just do a search for this test right here to make sure that it actually is getting ran, and it is. That's that right there. Okay. Yeah. Ugh. So now if we launch this out, if we launch this out, then I should be able to observe all my filters, including the all filter, generate some type of flux change in my menu items, right? So now if I go to more food, hold up, and I go to my Denny's, now if I say sluggers, then it's sluggers, right? If I go to skillets, then it's skillets, right? If I go to shakes, then it's shakes, right? And if I go to all, it goes to all. Okay. And that's it. So I am ending this video. I accomplished my exercise. I demoed this. Oh shoot, there's an issue right here. This all should be highlighted, but this shakes should not. All this stuff is messed up. So that's something I need to fix later. Um, yeah, I'll fix that later. All right. So if I go back over here and I say stop sharing, and I go back and I go over here, then this is Xamarin Forms in F sharp, if you didn't realize already. And this is me just going through code kata, just building parts using domain driven design techniques, which I didn't even show that part. Yeah, maybe I should show that part. So, like, I'm going to share, present to everyone, and like a lot of this stuff has been just already domain modeled. So I have this shopping cart domain, and I have a specification for that. I still don't know why I don't have a shopping cart.test specification project in here. I don't understand why it's not showing up in here, but I really don't. It's hidden somewhere in here. But if I look at my operations, then as a shopper, I want to have the ability to add, remove products within my shopping cart and check out. And so these are the core operations for my shopping cart domain: search, add. We look at add. You take an item. You take the cart state, whether it's empty or not empty, and then it's going to return a non-empty cart always. Hence, it's impossible for an add operation to return an empty cart. It can only return a non-empty cart, right? And a non-empty cart has, in this case, a cart ID, a shopper, and items. Okay, and in a way, I kind of want to have a non-empty dictionary, but I'm going to hold off on that. Okay, and so then you have a remove that you have an item that you want to remove. It can only be removed from a non-empty cart. You can't have an empty cart, right, and remove an item. It has to be non-empty. Then returns a cart state in which it's either an empty cart or a non-empty cart, depending on how many items you had in your cart. And we have a subtotal and total function types, our handler types. You add an item, it's going to return a unit, meaning that there's a side effect. In this case, the implementation details of these side effects are we have events that get evoked, or CLI events that get evoked. Item handlers for. All right, this is like the domain of it. And if we look at our order requests and we look at that, you see how we have order request.test, but we don't have it over here for a shopping cart.test. That's what I'm talking about. But if I look at the spec for the order request for operations, then we have a before ride module in which we can request the price, find a driver, request a delivery, cancel a delivery request. If we have a during ride within this module, we have request our location. After ride, we have a ride ended response and a pay fee function types. And that's pretty much it. So stop sharing, return back to me, and that's it. So this is my implementation, me practicing building a Uber like or Uber Eats like application, and that's it. So I'm Scott Nimrod. I'm available for hire or to help coach your developers into being awesome. And I don't know. You can message me if you have any questions or if you find better alternatives to some of the approaches that I'm taking. I always want to grow. I always want to improve myself. So I'm out. Peace.